In a historic shakeup for the NBA, the Lakers are being sold in a record setting $10 billion deal. The Buss family is handing over majority ownership to billionaire Mark Walter, who's already a key figure in LA sports as co owner of the Dodgers. Jeannie Buss will stay on as team governor, preserving a link to her family's legacy. The Buss dynasty began in 1979 with a $67.5 million purchase by Jerry Buss. Since then, the Lakers have claimed 11 championships. The blockbuster deal marks the biggest sale in U.S. sports history and a seismic shift in the league's power structure. Joining me now to talk more about this epic deal is Matt Money Smith from KFI's sister station, AM 570 LA Sports. Now, Matt, you are an expert on all things Lakers. What do you think prompted the Buss family to make this sale?
I would imagine billions and billions of dollars is ultimately what it comes down to. You know, if you go through the last decade, there's been a lot of family strife between Jeannie and Jim, and sort of Janie has been out of the mix. And I think, you know, the four of them, not to mention all of Dr. Buss's other kids who work with the team, particularly Joey, they probably just looked at the number and said, we can still be involved, but we're no longer calling the shots, but they'll still be part of the Lakers.
Let's talk about the new owners, Mark Walter and Todd Bailey, and their leadership style. How will it be different from the Buss families, and what will that mean for the Lakers' future?
Well, it's just pretty much sheer cash. You know, they immediately become, you know, one of the wealthiest ownership groups in the NBA, something that the Buss family wasn't. You know, the Buss family's wealth obviously came from Dr. Buss's real estate portfolio, but the majority of their wealth was in the equity that they had in the Lakers. In Mark Walter, you're talking about the Guggenheim Group and tens of billions of dollars worth of just straight cash that they can pump into the team. And we've seen that come into play with the Dodgers in how they're willing to pay, you know, what is called a soft cap, which means you can add players and salaries that go above the limit that the league has set if you're willing to pay a penalty. So they've been willing to pay that penalty to the tune of over $100 million per season. So once you're willing to do that, you can field a much more competitive team, afford higher end players, and maybe get the Lakers that elusive championship since 2010, outside of course, the one they won in the COVID year.
So there's definitely going to be just a big injection of money coming in.
Yes. I think it opens up your opportunities to take in salary, to pay the penalties, to just kind of say whatever with your rules, it's worth $50 million to me. I don't care about that money.
Now, since Walter and Bailey already own the Dodgers, what synergies or conflicts are going to arise from this dual ownership of these two major LA franchises?
You know, we've seen it in other markets. Now, I will say we just saw this with the Red Sox. You have an ownership group that traded Rafi Devers, who had $250 million on his contract, and they also own Liverpool in the Premiership in the English Premier League, and they immediately went out and spent $200 million on a transfer player. So when you see that happen, you're like, that's kind of uncomfortable for the Red Sox fans, kind of cool for the folks that like Liverpool. I don't get that sense with this group. This is a group that understands the value in winning and how winning adds to the equity that you grow in your professional franchise. So I see zero negatives. The Lakers are not going to lead to a deduction in payroll or willingness to pay the tax with the Dodgers and vice versa.
How are the fans reacting to this news so far? I mean, I know it's still relatively new, but do you think they're going to be excited for the future? Are they going to be nervous about such a massive change? What are you hearing?
I haven't really heard anything specific, but what I would say is they'll embrace this just because, the Lakers and Dodger fan bases tend to, intersect. If you have a Venn diagram, I don't know what that third piece would be, but certainly there's considerable overlap with the Lakers and Dodger fan bases. And if you're a fan of the Dodgers, especially following the ownership group of Frank McCourt, what Mark Walter has done to this franchise to really, ultimately what he did was he had the Dodgers jump the Lakers in terms of sporting franchise popularity in the city of Los Angeles. It was a Laker town and then a Dodger town second. As soon as Mark Walter took over the Dodgers, that immediately shifted, and it has been the Dodgers in a landslide. And so I think you'll see those two fan bases, I think you'll see that the fan base of each recognize, oh, wow, this is going to kind of put us more on the same level as opposed to the Lakers being a step behind the Dodgers.
Do you think this is going to signal a larger trend of traditional family-owned teams moving towards a more corporate-style ownership in pro sports?
Yeah, I think we've already seen it in the last decade. And, families want to hold on to the teams because, they've seen unprecedented growth. I mean, yes, you can sell them for billions of dollars and put that money in your pocket and start spending it. But at the same time, if you would have sold the franchise 5 years ago, 7 years ago, you're talking about maybe half the valuation. I don't know in the moment that we're talking about this what the number was, but let's just say it's $5-6 billion. That could have been $2-3 billion 5-7 years ago. So I think that's why the family ownership groups are going to try to hold on as long as possible. But it's clear in terms of a competitive balance standpoint that it is the billionaires of the world. It is the corporations that are behind them that have led to these franchises being more successful and ultimately to winning championships.
Now, I know you have a long history with the Buss family and the Lakers. Do you have any final thoughts on this massive sale?
Yeah, I think it's sort of sad, for people that have lived here a long time. I worked with the Lakers for 5 years, and so I got to know, the Buss family, Dr. Buss, before he passed away. Jeannie's a good friend to us, to me, and to the show. She comes on every year when we do our summer tour, and so I hope this is something that wasn't done out of necessity, out of family strife and discord, but instead was just the right time to do it. So I do think there's for all the celebration that's going to go, and it should, from a competitive standpoint, with the Guggenheim Group buying this, the Lakers, the majority stake in the Lakers, I do think there's a little bit of sadness, like when the O'Malleys got rid of the Dodgers, very similarly now when the Busses ultimately got rid of the majority stake in the Lakers.
Last question, and it's a big one. Do you want me to call you Matt Money, Matt?
Whatever you're most comfortable with, Heather. It all works.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.